Good afternoon, everyone. This is your captain speaking. Hey, it's Nightlight 9, and we're going to go ahead and go through the Crisis Dungeon in the new limited time event, CAWPINE Caverns, very hard. We're going to go ahead and get into it. Got an A+ the first time, but that was before I'd seen everybody, so now we're going for S+. Briefly, I'll go through the setup that I have and what I'm using here. So, actually, if we go back and we look at this, we can see here's what the symbol enemies look like once you've gone through it and unlocked it all. So we see, okay, lots of lightning resist, 3 enemies weak to that, 1 to ice, 2 to earth, and then a water one. And the only sigils we really are going to need is X and triangle, so therefore we're using Cloud and Sephiroth. You don't have to, but they're pretty pro at breaking those 2 sigils. So for Sephiroth, giving him some lightning damage, giving him his X sigil break, and giving him some earth damage. He's going to be using Diamond Dust 3. Other than that, just focusing on magic stat. I wanted his HP to be as close to 5,000 or better as possible. If we go over to Aerith, she's set up for some heals and also to be able to assist with some of that elemental damage. She's got water, she's got earth, she's got lightning, and then we have Cloud. And, you know, he's a physical DPSer, so that's what he's kind of set up for. Using Ifrit because it seems that magical attacks generally do better against these units than physical attacks, so I think that'll do better than his limit. He's got fire here, which he doesn't need. I'm actually going to switch that out for, I don't know, earth is fine, I guess. It doesn't really matter here because he's going to be doing water, I think, when everybody else is doing earth. But that's what he looks like. And he's got his triangle sigil break, and that's pretty much that. He has the lowest HP, but I think it'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and get into it now. So one thing to point out again about all of these bosses, they're all immune, or at least 4 out of 5 of them are immune to debuffs like physical attack, magical attack, defense, all that down. So those aren't going to help us here. It's a pretty linear level, and I'll walk through and explain everything you need to know about each one of the bosses here. So first we have Mole Crawler. He's going to be weak to lightning and earth, and all 4 of the symbol bosses before the final boss, they all use some sort of fire attack. So that is, if you're having a little bit of trouble, you know, surviving through some of this stuff in the beginning, especially, just know that fire resistance will help. I think there's only been one free weapon that I can think of, the Shiva sword, that gives fire resistance. It's not mandatory, but just to let you guys know, they will all be doing fire damage almost exclusively, especially with their big moves. And we'll just keep using Cloud, jamming that Thunder Strike with the Murasame, giving it a bonus. That is his specialty. We will make sure everybody kind of stays healthy. This first guy seems to take quite a while, and so that's why you really want to make sure that everybody has some form of lightning or earth magic damage, because it really does kind of take a while, which is going to eat into your score, especially if you're trying to go for S or S+. They also, most of these bosses have some form of magic down, which is always a great time to just try to get in as much DPS as possible and increase that speed score. Also, one thing I did in my first run that I will not be doing here is I tried to preserve my summons quite a bit, and ultimately it's just really not necessary. The only time you're going to need a very specific one is for Reno. You want to have your Diamond Dust available, but he will be, or no, sorry, it's not Reno. It's Red Dragon in this one. So that is the one change they made. The other change they made is that there's no Gallon Belore, however you pronounce that guy's name. And so you don't have to bring any fire because none of these enemies are weak to fire. And here, I'm not prioritizing the heal just yet. I really want to try to get the kill speed faster if I can. Trying to, you know, improve from that A+ score I got my very first run. So we've defeated the first symbol enemy. I accidentally skipped past the score on that, but it'll be okay. Let's see what kind of buffs we get. Here we're offered Ice Potency, Lightning Potency, or Lightning Resist. I'm going to go ahead and take the Lightning Potency because the next two enemies that we're going to face are weak to lightning, and I think that will help us clear this out a little bit faster. All right. So we have an add-on group of enemies here. No problem. I'm going to pop a Curaga and then just set this to auto and speed it up. Not really anything to worry about here. Yeah, they can do the high voltage, but it's really not a big deal. All right, so now we are going to head to the second symbol boss over here. Can't go down at this point, you just have to go over. Like I said, it's pretty linear. This is going to be Death Machine. He uses a Fire Blast attack. He is weak to lightning. I would suggest probably killing off the add-ons first. Let's slow this back down. Just because, you know, they do some damage. And again, you could feel free to switch stances here if you're having a little bit of trouble surviving. You know, obviously that would maybe be ideal to try to get through some of these guys, but I am going for the highest score, and I don't find that these enemies present a super significant threat. One thing also to pay attention to with this high voltage move is that there is a short delay when he actually gets it fully channeled. So don't switch stance immediately when the circle closes. If he's up and going to cast that move, you want to cast it, like I'd say circle closes, then feel free to switch stances, just so you're not wasting your stance bar. And oh my god, why am I running Ruin Ra on Cloud instead of Ruin Blow? I think when I had gone through the previous mission, the hard mode to unlock this, I think I was trying to weaken my character's stats just to give, you know, a little bit more strategic feel to the video, and I think I'd put that on there instead of his normal Ruin Blow. So we'll just be dealing with that, and that is okay. Hopefully that's not the difference maker in the score here. Okay, so we had a 57, I think, from the first one, something like that. I don't know. 61 here. I think we're doing just fine. And let's see what we get here for buffs. One thing to note, although all first four enemies do fire damage, the last enemy, Zentrattle, or however you pronounce his name, he does a lightning elemental damage attack, and it is the strongest attack of any of the enemies, so lightning resistance is a thing, I guess you would say. Do we want 25% or 10%? We're going to take 25%, and I will explain that later on. It has to do, oh my gosh, has to do with the buff that we're going to get offered from the last boss that we will fight here. We're going to want to buff that lightning so that when we take a debuff, it doesn't hurt us as bad. All right, we'll go up here. We'll use our newfound key. Come up here, collect some boxes. What do we get? Potions. All right, that's fine. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and unlock this one first. Oh, nope, not enough keys. Sorry, we're going to come over here instead, and we're going to fight this guy. And this is Motor Ball. He's weak to lightning again, and he has rolling fire. Now, we did nerf our lightning potency a little bit, so that is going to be a thing. I'm going to just start out and use my summons here. I think I'll be able to charge him up over the course of the fight, and I just want to do some more damage. Like I said, I think I saved them too much in the first one, and I know that Ifrit hardly did any damage, but to be honest, he's not going to really be necessary again until the final boss, so I don't care a whole lot about that. Not too worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and pop Healing Wind here, just so we can keep that attack going. And yeah, just the sigil, I mean, with these two guys, there is plenty to, there's plenty of sigil break ability to break this. So I'm really not too terribly worried about any of it. Just going to keep hitting him with as much things as possible, even with my healer, because one of the things I think I was inhibited by on my A+ run was my speed run score. So I'll be trying to focus more on that during this video. Alright, Rolling Fire, and I can already tell you, Rolling Fire doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Not to say that it does nothing, but it's quite survivable. I'm going to give everybody a magic buff, or magic defense buff, just to lower it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, just not that worried about it. And we're going to go ahead and do these two. I do want to have Diamond Dust ready for the next boss, so I'm not going to use that again. And although Ifrit doesn't do a whole lot of damage, it's still something, and it doesn't cost any of my ATB bar to get that done. Alright, high gear boost, and we should just be able to manually control Cloud here. Not worried about breaking these sigils, just wanting to get this fight finished, and there we go. So that is the third boss, Motor Ball. Again, weak to lightning, uses Rolling Fire. Even if I didn't buff up, though, the Rolling Fire just doesn't do that much damage. Alright, 55,000 score there. I think 630,000 is what you need for an S. I think it's 700 and something thousand to get an S+. So that might be out of reach, but we'll see. Okay, Water Potency and Lightning Resist, or Ice Potency, or Healing Potency. So ultimately, the final boss that we will fight after. So next we have Red Dragon. Then we have Zetant, or Zetant, I don't know how you pronounce that. He's weak to water and earth. So Water Potency here would be fine as well, but Sephiroth's going to be doing the earth damage, so I think I'm just going to take... Actually, I'm going to take Ice Potency here, because I don't want to... I'm going to already take a debuff to lightning on the next one, and I really don't want to go that low into... the lightning. I don't want to basically give the boss too much of a buff on that. Oh, I already picked that up. Okay. Picked that up on the first run, so we'll just go up here and fight the second to last boss. This is the Red Dragon. Now, I could have popped an item. If you are looking for the clear and you're struggling, go ahead and pop one of those cottages and get everybody, back up to full health. That is perfectly fine. But here, I think that I can DPS this guy down without any problem. So I'm gonna be extra greedy, and I'm only gonna try to pop one cottage for this playthrough. So that's what I'm gonna do. He does do fire attacks during this, and they do a decent amount of damage. If you see that there to Cloud. So that's one of the reasons you may want to consider, using one of those cottages, especially if you're just trying to get the clear. But we are trying to be extremely greedy here and use as few items as possible. But there is always room to, use as many items as you need, come back and you know, retry if you want a higher score. That's fine, right? Okay, and he's down. We didn't lose Cloud either. Happy for that. The Shiva Diamond Dust really helps clear him down. I mean, 40,000 damage is quite a big chunk. We got 61,000 for that fight. And by the way, if you haven't gotten Diamond Dust yet, I do have a video over how to clear Shiva very hard. That is something that needs to be done if you really want to excel at this higher difficulty content. Okay, here's where we're going to take Earth Potency, plus 30, Lightning Resist, minus 30. So that is going to hurt us against the final boss, but it's also going to help us. Basically, it's going to increase the amount of damage we do, but also increase the amount of damage we take from his main, or his big move called Prismatic Ray. We will come over, unlock this, and we are just about there. These guys can actually be kind of a pain. So I'm going to Hellfire. They're weak to water, by the way. So this is not necessarily the ideal, you know, whatever. It's not, you know, Ifrit's not the ideal thing you'd cast against them. But they do an AoE attack that hits pretty hard. So I recommend trying to just clear them out as fast as possible to preserve that max HP threshold for the most part. I think generally the last run when I took shots from 2 of them, and between the 2 of them, they did about 1,600 damage to the entire party. So that's definitely no joke. That's why I was just trying to kill them as fast as possible. All right, now we come back here, and this is where the final boss is. All right, and we'll come in. This is where we'll open up our items. We will use the cottage. There we go. Everybody is back up where I want them to be. You could feel free to use more items if you want. I will not be using any because I'm trying to get the very highest score. But by all means, if you need to get that clear, do it. You can always go back and try more later to get the higher score. So in fact, I actually used an extra item. I actually used a total of like 5 items my first time through. So don't be afraid to do that. But one of the reasons I'm showing you this video is so that you can be more prepared even on your very first time trying. Here, we're going to mostly be focusing on Sea Splitter. Just let Cloud keep, you know, jumping up in the air and splashing this guy in the face with water. That seems to be a good way to go about this one. And yeah, just, I mean, really, eventually he's going to lose this attack buff and give himself a negative buff to magic damage. His magic defense will go down. That is a great time to try to get in damage. Probably should have saved the Diamond Dust actually for that moment. If I was being a little bit smarter or paying a little bit closer attention, that is what I would have done. Because it is a significant difference here. Like when you start watching Sephiroth, you know, that's a lot more damage. And actually, Aerial Frostblade, because of the ice potency, will do considerable damage here. Look at this. 14,500 on that hit. But you only have enough, if you time it right, to get about 2 Aerial Frostblades in. So it kind of is important to pay attention to that. Alright, I've got the 2 Sigil Breaking Gurus here. I'm going to use the Hellfire in case I need to, or in case I have enough to recharge that again to use it one more time. Trying to go for the fastest, most efficient kills I can. Aerith's just going to hit him on his weaknesses over and over again while they do what they do. Now notice too, he is building up, he gives himself buffs, right? Magic and attack buff. So Eventually, that's even going to go up even further before he uses this prismatic ray. At least it did typically, or maybe there's a chance that he only does a 2 instead of a 3. Typically, though, it is all 3 arrows. It is high potency. And so just note that a lot of times I've faced him, it has been high potency. And it does a considerable amount of damage. You can see there, 4,200 damage. That's real, right? And that's why you want to get, you know, about as close to 5,000 HP on everybody as you can. If you give her a defense buff, it does significantly impact how much damage that does. Even with, even if he has all 3 arrows. All right, targeting Aerith again, and I'll be honest, I don't know if she'll survive this second round of this. But we will do our best here. Okay, here it comes. Yeah, so Aerith died there. I got kind of unlucky. If he would have targeted somebody else, then we would have been absolutely fine. But I guess you just can't win them all. However, after he does 2, generally speaking, I would expect to be able to kill him. So I'm really hoping I'm in the home stretch here. And then we can find out what kind of score we got. Also, just note that Prismatic Ray is a magical attack, so magic defense will help with that. Okay, and there we go. We have cleared all 5 bosses on very hard CAWPINE Caverns. Let's see, our score on that battle was pretty bad. So I may be disappointed here with the outcome. Let's see here. And it looks like S+. Okay, there we go. So one of the things I can tell you, the speedrun bonus didn't go up by a whole lot. But I did need that to get that 732,000 score. I can tell you I used 5 items the first time. I used both cottages and 3 supplements and an attack on Cloud before the final battle. So if we count all that, that's actually 6 items. And I got about half of the item score. It was like 40 or 41,000. So just know I used 1 item here for an 82,000. And let's just take a look afterwards at what you get or what you need for this. 720,000. So I could have probably used 1 more item or just cleared it a little bit slower and I still would have been okay. But just know 720,000, it does seem like a lot when you think my first score wasn't even to 600,000. So that item score is going to impact you quite a bit. So pay attention to that and see, you know, how far you can go without having to use those. Like I said, especially if you have, you know, a strong Shiva, it doesn't have to be Diamond Dust level 3 like mine. Even Diamond Dust 1 does more damage than Whiteout 5. So use that on that 4th dragon boss, and you probably can get away with not having to use as many items as I did. And I think I could have gotten away, I think, with using 1 more cottage and probably still been okay. So if you found this video helpful, if it helped you clear or get a higher score on CAWPINE Caverns, subscribe for more content. Eventually, I will be doing a guide for the other event dungeon, Logue Ruins, once I work up the nerve to deal with having to lose a party member through multiple battles. But we will get that out. Stay tuned.